Hey, welcome to Leaders Underway. This is a channel where we talk about the practice and application of leadership. My name is Eric Moore. I am a nuclear engineer. I am also a former nuclear submarine officer. And for the careful listener who is still asking themselves, why is this nuclear engineer still babbling about leadership topics? Hasn't he learned his lesson yet? The reason I'm making these videos, I believe this to be true. I think that people studying STEM and STEM professionals in the workforce would do well to pay attention to leadership competencies and interpersonal dynamics by only focusing on their technical competencies. My experience in life and in the workplace has shown me that this has been very valuable for me to learn. And so I'm hoping to encourage those in STEM to do the same. So today I have another submarine story. This follows my story of the broken ankle, and it's going to go into how I integrated back into the ship with the crew. In particular, a drill that I screwed up. I made I completely bungled a drill, a very important drill, an evaluated drill. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about my takeaways from that. This is the age of TikTok. I have two takeaways which I will share before I even get into the story. So my two takeaways, and I have them in my notes here. First takeaway, you don't have to be nasty or make it personal when you correct or address poor performance that you perceive in others. That's the first takeaway. Keep it professional. You don't have to be a jerk. The other takeaway is this is going to flip the perspective from looking at others to looking at yourself. Second takeaway is don't let your ego or wounded pride get in the way of identifying and correcting poor performance in yourself. So two sides of the coin, right? Poor performance in others, how you handle that. Poor performance in yourself, perceiving that accurately, taking action without letting your ego get in the way. So that's what we're going to talk about at the end. Let's get to the story. So just for context, this follows the third story I told. I had broken my ankle doing some trail running. And when I broke the ankle, the medical folks told me I could not go on the next deployment. So I spent about 8 weeks just kind of convalescing, essentially, healing. I was doing physical therapy, and they x-rayed me after that period. And they said, yeah, this thing is healing. You may go back to sea, join your crew. This was not a vacation for me. I mean, it seems like it might have been a vacation. It was actually stressful from the standpoint of isolation. I didn't know a lot of people in the community I lived in other than those in the Navy and my crew. My crew was at sea. So, it was kind of a weird, I had time to read books. I had time to, pursue little hobbies here and there. But I was in pain and I wanted to get better and I wanted to join my crew. So that's what happened. I got better. I did my PT, got better, flew out to Hawaii, got on the boat, took a little boat to the big boat. And when I got there, as I shared in the last episode, my crew treated me pretty well because the command told them, hey, Eric stood duty on a broken ankle. Do not give him crap when he gets back. This is one guy who apparently cares about doing this stuff, cares about his job. He came in with a broken ankle, stood duty on a Sunday or whatever. Don't give him a hard time. And when I found out about that, I realized I was turning the corner with my command. I was able to demonstrate to them, I care about this job. I know I'm not the best at this job, but I care about it. I want to get better. They saw that and they extended me some trust. That made me feel good, to be honest with you. That was the first time I saw them sticking up for me rather than kicking me and pushing me down. So with that, when I got on the boat, I don't remember if it was the first day I got back or, the second or third day, but the Eng was my boss. We were talking in the engine room. We were I remember exactly where we were. We were having a conversation because the ORS board was going to come do an ORS on our ship. Those of you who are nukes, you already know what it is. The ORS is an external evaluation. It's people in the Navy However, they constitute a an external evaluation team who are looking to see how does the engine room do the nukes of the engine room. These particular sailors and officers do in handling drill situation, casualty situations. We're going to give them an exam. We're going to look at their maintenance records, all this and that. So the Eng told me, "Hey man, I know you just got back. You're going to be part of this ORS. You're gonna perform a drill just like the other junior officers. You know, kind of in your age group here. You're going to be part of this, so be ready for that." And I had not been part of the workup. You know, they had like 6 or 8 weeks on me. The rest of the crew and officers had been preparing for this ORS. They had been doing practice drills. They had been studying this and that. I didn't have any of that. Like I did some studying. I couldn't study at home because the procedures are classified, so you can't bring them home. However, I did study in the office a little bit when I wasn't doing physical therapy, but it's not the same as being with your crew, studying how you as a crew do casualties because every ship's a little bit different. And actually going through the drills, being there and giving the orders as a junior officer, all this, it's not the same. So I expressed some misgivings to him. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to change his mind. It was probably out of his hands anyway. But I told him, man, I'm really nervous about this. I don't know how well this is going to go because I'm out of practice. And I was kind of nervous to even tell him that because this was a guy who historically was really tough on me. He was no nonsense. He was, you're a naval officer. You need to do this thing. I was shocked with his response. I was blown away. It still doesn't make any sense to me, looking back on this. He gave me a hug in the engine room. This is unheard of. This is, certainly for this department head, but, at least when I was in, 10, 15 years ago, there were no hugs. Okay. There were no soft words. You were there for a job and you probably suck at your job and you're there to get better day after day. And they want to see the pain. They want to see you struggling to get better. They want you to get better, but they want to see you putting forth the effort. There were no hugs. Okay. So I was blown away. I was almost like, are they going to get rid of me or something? Like, why is he being so nice all of a sudden? So that was interesting. That was a game changer for me. And, I'm going to give him some credit here. I think it marked the beginning of my perception that he was moving a different direction with his leadership style. So we get to game day. I perform the drill. I'm not going to go into technical details because, all of these things are from classified manuals in terms of the actions you take and all this good stuff. It's really not, a salient detail anyway, but it was a drill that if you're a Navy nuke, you've done it a million times before. It was a long drawn out affair. I had done it before. I had done this drill before. I'd studied it before. I'd practiced it before. I did an awful job. Like I completely botched it. I lost energy immediately. I lost confidence immediately in the control room and maneuvering. I did an absolutely abysmal job. I was like issuing orders, in a hoarse, low energy, defeated voice. I couldn't process what was going on in my mind quickly enough. The only thing that saved us was my watch team was on top of it. They did a good job, basically pulling my weight. I did terrible. I was embarrassed. I knew I was doing a poor job. And, the ORS guys, we're talking about these lieutenant commanders from off the ship. They were like shaking their head. They were like, dude, what is wrong with this guy? What kind of JOs are they training here on this ship? This guy sucks. I think they probably recognize this is an Eric problem, not a crew problem, because they had seen other drills during this particular examination, the ORS. So I eventually get relieved from get through the drill, get off watch. My watch team and I go to the crew's mess for a debrief of the drill. How did we do? We all knew it was bad. So the Eng spoke first, my boss. This is the guy who hugged me a few days before. Totally unexpected. And I'm thinking to myself, surely he's going to reverse tack here. Like, surely he's going to lay into me. And, I almost felt like I deserved it. Like I did an awful job. I was not good at this. I wasn't good at drills in general. I was really bad on this day, like even bad for me, right? I was expecting the worst. The first thing he said, I remember this almost verbatim. The Eng goes, okay, we're all professionals here. We're Navy nukes. We work on a submarine. We run the reactor. We've been doing this long enough. We know what bad looks like. We know what good looks like. And that was bad. That was really bad. And I'm just thinking, fair enough. You're right. that was bad. It felt bad. I know it was bad. He did not make any personal attacks on me. He did not say the engineering officer of the watch, is a foolish, unpracticed man. He sucks at his job, this and that. He just kept it professional, and I was really struck by that. I sensed like a new energy in him, from how he'd been treating me the last few days, and I embarrassed him. I embarrassed this guy. I represented him, and I screwed up. I did a terrible job. So that was his ego on the line, or his reputation on the line, and did a poor job, unfortunately. And, from that, I take my first takeaway of, when you're assessing the performance of someone on your team, when you're calling out bad performance, you don't have to be mean about it. You don't have to put the dagger in and twist. You don't have to make sarcastic comments. Just tell the truth. Tell the story. What happened? Was it a good performance? Was it a bad performance? And then go from there. And that's exactly what he did. He went into the technical details of what we screwed up, how the timing was messed up, how the coordination was messed up, how I wasn't doing, my command and control. I wasn't getting the orders out in an accurate or timely fashion, taking the wrong steps, the wrong time. He called it all out. And did it feel good to hear all that? No, it didn't feel good, but it was all true. And he didn't he didn't go for any low blows. He didn't make it personal. So that's my first takeaway. Just tell what happened when there's poor performance involved with a project you're on, with your team, with your subordinates. Don't sugarcoat it, but you don't have to make it personal either. You don't have to twist the dagger when it goes in. So as for myself, I was a lieutenant junior grade in 02. Why did I suck at drills? Well, I'll say this. I tried. Okay, so I tried in the ways that I knew how to at that point in my life to get better. In particular, start from square one. Doing these drills did not play to my strengths as a human. My strengths are abstract thought. My strengths are, written communication, verbal communication, apparently not giving orders though, as well as I was really good at overall coordination and making sure things went well from a planning perspective. I'm very good at planning. I'm very good at research. So those are my key strengths. I found that doing these drills, while obviously these drills are essential to running a nuclear reactor and run it safely, I found that I was not able to use my strengths to help me improve in my performance of these drills. So what was I doing? I was reading the procedure in a classroom or, a quiet place, reading the steps I was supposed to take. I was reading the rationales behind the steps. All good, all good. That's what they told us to do. I was participating in the drills. I would do the drill sets. I would try to learn. I would listen to the debriefs. That was resulting in very slow progress. So I wanted to get better doing these drills as the engineering officer of the watch, as a junior officer, as a leader. I wanted to get better. Here's what was going on on the other side of my mind. I was doing the things that, they told us to do to get better. There was a part of me that was compartmentalizing this poor performance. And I didn't realize this then. I didn't realize this, until years later. What I was doing is I was telling myself, look, yeah, I suck at drills. They're right. I do suck at these drills. But you know what? I'm good at so many other things that these guys don't even know about. You know, I am I've written research papers. I've published papers with my name on them as an undergraduate student. Okay. got a really high GPA in nuclear engineering undergrad. I, you know, I actually understand the physics, the, neutron diffusion equation, this and that. I actually understand it, a lot better than these guys. These guys just memorized a bunch of stuff in this program. I actually did the calculus. I was discretizing, these integrals and writing computer programs. And, so I understand all this stuff really at a higher level than them. So although it's true I suck at drills, guess what? I'm like better in this other way. Okay. And that, what is that? That's wounded ego. That's wounded pride. That's, I'll kind of get better, but I'm not all in. Right. And, it's almost embarrassing to admit it. I think I'm past embarrassment now, but that was my mindset because I was in this high pressure environment where people I felt like didn't have my back. My sort of management didn't have my back for a long time. They demanded and demanded and demanded, and I tried to give and give and give. But, I signed up for this job. I signed up to be a nuclear submarine officer, a naval officer. It's an extremely demanding job. They told me that going in. And, I wish that I could go back in time and alter my perspective on this issue. There were other things that I was good at as a junior officer later on that I was recognized for, like, wow, he's really good at this particular, program management, stuff like that. But I wish that I had the maturity at that time to back up and say, okay, I'm trying to get better. I want to get better. Let's put this ego stuff aside. I'm reading procedures. I'm doing drills. I'm not getting better that quickly. What else could I do? And I think the answer is the other thing I could have done is I could have approached the people who were the best in this area and asked for their advice, asked for one-on-one discussions with them. I think if I scheduled time with my boss, I think if I scheduled time with the EDMC, the senior engineering department enlisted guy, different chiefs, like some of the really talented JOs, I think that I could have perhaps broken through some of the things I didn't understand. And I could have understood these procedures from different perspectives, from the perspectives of people who are really good at executing these procedures for responding to casualties. I think in order to have done that, I would have had to have gotten over my wounded pride and my ego. And I think that's what really kept me from pursuing excellence in this area. Because I was doing these activities that weren't working. I was studying from the book. It wasn't working. I was doing the drills and trying to learn from doing. It just wasn't going. It wasn't really sticking. So I needed to do something different because, it's an Einstein quote. I'm going to paraphrase. If you do the same thing over and over and expect different results, this is the definition of insanity, right? So that's my second takeaway is, be brutally honest with yourself about what your performance is. Don't make excuses for yourself and think about ways to improve it, taking your ego and your pride out of it. It would have been too much for my pride at that point, I guess, to approach the Eng and say, Eng, you're right. I know that I'm not good at this. I want to be good at this. It was just, I guess it was too much for me at that time, and I wish I would have been, the bigger person and done that because I could have gone from, eventually I had acceptable performance in this area, but I could have been good or excellent if I had, left my ego at the door. And it's tough. I mean, it's tough. I think it's tough for a young guy. I was 24, 25. And I had experienced a lot of success in other domains that were adjacent to this. So it was, it was tough. But, I did sort of get over that over time. I had a real casualty standing opposite the deck, a few years later. We had a seawater leak, and I took appropriate actions. I didn't freak out. I made a really good announcement over the announcing circuit. I got the captain in control. I got the crew working towards, isolating the leak, this and that. And it went fine. It went great. Kept the ship safe. It was really funny because the captain came up in control. He looked a little worried. I was kind of worried, but we weren't freaked out. And then he's like, okay, we're at a safe depth. I'm happy. I'm going to go check out the leak. Don't do anything crazy. Okay. I'm just like, all right. Yeah, I won't. All right. More than likely I said ICER, but he knew that I was fine, at that point. But, I wish I would have figured all this out a few years earlier. Right. But anyways, that's my story. Those are my takeaways. Again, to recap, takeaway one, if you, identify poor performance in your subordinates, people that work for you on your team, go ahead and address it. Tell the truth. Don't sugarcoat it, but don't make it personal. Don't twist the dagger. Don't throw in barbs. Second takeaway is be brutally honest with yourself and identifying areas of your poor performance and figure out ways to address that poor performance. Now, this is for things that matter, that are a core competency for you. Obviously, if you're a computer programmer and you can't jump that high, from a professional standpoint, I'm not asking you to like get better at jumping, to get better at your job, because it has nothing to do with your job. But for your core competencies, identify your performance issues and figure out ways to get better, keeping your ego out of it. Admit, yeah, I'm not good at this. I need help with this. I'm trying to get better, but my methods are not effective. Don't be afraid to tell that to your boss, to your peers. Be honest about it. Don't turn it into, a wounded pride situation, as I did. Be a bigger person. So that's it for this episode. And I'm going to ask you, please think about something in your life, a situation where, you may not have the performance you want in a particular area. And think about, am I being honest with myself from an ego perspective, from a pride perspective? Am I giving myself an honest shake? Am I being adequately tough on myself and thinking of ways that I can address, this performance shortcoming? It may be that you're doing, that you're good and you want to be great. You want to be excellent. Or it could be like my situation where I was really below average. I was doing poorly, and I needed to just get to the acceptable level at first, right? So please think about that, because although these stories come from a faraway nuclear submarine, seems like it's further away by the day for you, the viewer, so that you can be a leader underway in your life. Thanks for sticking with me, and I'll catch you next time.